Hey cupcakes, it's Stacy's. Welcome to another episode of Storytime with Stacy's, where we make a cool character, we draw it, and we create a story to go along with it with the help of OpenAI. And then I read it to you, and hopefully it's a comfy, cozy, fairy tale-esque, enjoyable time for everybody. If you don't know what Honey Seasons is, I'll put some links below, but it is a free airdrop of art that we send to our holders of our NFT collection every month. So more information below, but without further ado, let's get into the story. Sable and the Ancient Civilization. Sable stood at the edge of the cliff, gazing out at the vast alien landscape before her. She was a scientist specializing in the study of extraterrestrial habits and their ecosystems. She worked for the Universal Archives, an organization that collected and documented knowledge from all corners of the galaxy, preserving it for future generations. Sable was assigned to the Monoceros Galaxy, a region known for its diverse and exotic species and environments. She lived on an airship which served as her home, laboratory, and transportation. Sable has long, sleek hair the color of a nice spacey blue. She wore a lab coat, a collared shirt dress, both made from metallic space-age fabric. The coat had advanced ventilation and temperature control systems to keep her comfortable in any environment. Sable was also adorned with various pieces of jewelry, each with their own unique function. She had a metallic choker necklace with built-in sensors to allow her to monitor her own vital signs and the environment around her. She wore a pair of earrings with built-in illumination systems that could be deployed and fly autonomously to allow her to see in low light conditions at a distance. She wore a ring with built-in GPS trackers to allow her to navigate and explore alien habitats with ease. But the most striking feature of Sable's appearance was her single glowing cyborg-like eye with advanced vision capabilities that allowed her to record video notes and sync them with a digital database. She had received the implant after a near-fatal accident on a previous mission, and it had given her a new lease on life and a new perspective on the universe. She was grateful for the technology, but also aware of its limitations and the potential dangers of relying on it too much. Sable was not alone on her journey. She was accompanied by a loyal, protective alien dog-like creature, which she named Sirius. Sirius was a small, agile creature with a sleek, streamlined body covered in soft, downy fur. It had a long, slender snout with a pair of nostrils that could flare up and contract to pick up scents, and a pair of retractable claws that used to dig and scratch at the ground. Its eyes were large and glowing, and it had a curious, playful personality. Sirius was equipped with a technological interface that allowed it to mark targets and seek them out. It was a valuable companion for Sable, helping her to sniff out plants and animals and warn her of any potential dangers. Sable first encountered Sirius while exploring a dense, humid jungle on a distant planet. The air was thick with the scent of exotic flowers and the sound of chirping insects and rustling foliage. As Sable made her way through the jungle, searching for new species and studying the ecosystem, Sirius suddenly appeared before her, wagging his tail and barking happily. His sleek, fur-covered body was curious, and his glowing eyes drew Sable in. She couldn't help but feel charmed by the playful alien creature. After spending some time together, Sable knew that she wanted to adopt Sirius as her companion and bring him along on her adventures. Sable and Sirius quickly became inseparable, and they formed a strong bond of friendship and trust. They supported each other, and they learned from each other. Sable taught Sirius about the universe and her work, and Sirius taught Sable about survival and the importance of loyalty and companionship. Sable was grateful to have Sirius by her side, and she knew that he would always be there for her no matter what adventures they embarked on. As Sable and Sirius set foot on the exotic planet of Jovarx, they were struck by the vibrant colors and unusual scents that filled the air. The planet was located in a remote corner of the Monoceros Galaxy and was known for its diverse and unusual species. Sable and her team of scientists were eager to explore and learn more about the planet's ecosystem, documenting its plant and animal life and uncovering any secrets it might hold. Sable and Sirius were particularly interested in studying the planet's unique flora and fauna. They had already made several interesting discoveries, including a rare species of luminescent flowers, a giant venomous spider-like creature, and a mysterious underground cave system. They were excited to see what else the planet had in store for them. As Sable stood at the edge of the cliff, she was thinking about the next steps in their mission. They had heard whispers of an ancient, technologically advanced civilization that once lived on this planet, and Sable was dying to learn more about it. She knew that it would be a risky and difficult task, but she was driven by her curiosity and her desire to make a significant contribution to the field. She had always been fascinated by the mysteries of the universe, and this seemed like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to uncover some of its secrets. Sable turned to Sirius and said, "Come on, boy, let's go see what we can find out about this ancient civilization." Sirius barked and wagged his tail, ready to follow Sable anywhere. Sable smiled and patted Sirius on the head. She knew that he would always be by her side, no matter what dangers they faced. Sable and Sirius made their way down the cliff using a rope and a harness to descend safely. They reached the bottom and began to explore the area, scanning the ground with a high-tech scanner that could analyze the chemical composition of structure, animals, and plants. Eventually, they discovered various fragments of artifacts and structures that seemed unusual and out of place, including sculptures, carvings, and disheveled buildings. Sable felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as she and Sirius began documenting these strange items. As Sable and Sirius explored looking for more clues, they encountered other scientists and local inhabitants who were also interested in its mysteries. Some of them were friendly and helpful, sharing their knowledge and insights with Sable and her team. Others, however, were hostile and competitive, trying to steal or sabotage their research. One such was rival Dr. Orion, a renowned and ambitious scientist who has long coveted the research opportunities that the Sable's team was pursuing. Dr. Orion was a tall and slender man with sharp features and piercing eyes. His hawkish nose and thin, unsmiling mouth added to his intimidating appearance, and his hair was slicked back in a greasy style. He wore a tailored, expensive suit that was immaculately clean and pressed, and he carried himself with an air of superiority and entitlement. Known for his intelligence and ambition, Dr. Orion was feared and respected by his colleagues and rivals. He was a man who was used to getting what he wanted, and he was not afraid to do whatever it took to achieve his goals. His reputation for being ruthless and competitive was well earned, and Sable knew that she had to be on guard for him. She could sense the hostility emanating from him as he watched her and her team closely, determined to get ahead at any cost. Unfortunately, Dr. Orion had followed Sable and her team to the planet Jovarx, and he had set up his own base camp nearby. He had a team of his own, consisting of skilled and dedicated scientists, and he had all the resources and equipment that he needed to succeed. Sable feared that Dr. Orion intended to beat her and her team and to claim any credit for their discoveries. After a few hours of exploration, Sable and Sirius came across a large, mysterious structure that seemed to be the center of the ancient civilization. It was a pyramid-shaped building made of stone and metal with intricate symbols and patterns etched into its surface. Sable was awestruck by the sight, and she felt a sense of excitement and anticipation. She had a feeling that this was where the secrets of the ancient civilization lay, waiting to be discovered. Sable turned to Sirius and said, "This is it, boy. This is where we'll find answers we're looking for. Are you ready?" Sirius barked and licked Sable's hand, as if to say, "I'm always ready, Sable. Let's do this." Sable smiled and patted Sirius on the head, then approached the pyramid cautiously. She knew that they had to be careful, as there might be traps or other dangers waiting inside. In addition, Dr. Orion was sure to be close behind them, but she knew that they had to take the risk if they wanted to learn the truth. They found various artifacts and inscriptions that seemed to tell the story of this ancient civilization inside. Some of the artifacts were made of metal, with intricate designs and symbols etched into them. Others were made of stone, with intricate carvings and engravings that depicted scenes of war and peace, of love and loss. Sable and Sirius could see that the ancient civilization had been highly advanced and sophisticated, with a rich culture and history. They also found manuscripts describing technologies and devices that seemed to be far beyond their own level of knowledge and expertise. There were writings of machines and devices that seemed to harness the power of the elements, and that could create or destroy at will. There were also devices that seemed to be able to communicate with other worlds and that could transport people or objects from one place to another. Sable and Sirius could see that the ancient civilization appeared to have capabilities that were almost magical. They knew that they had only scratched the surface of what the pyramid had to offer, and there were so many mysteries inside waiting to be discovered. As they explored, Sable began to realize that the pyramid and the contents inside might be the same ones that she had read about in some of her research. She had come across references to a civilization called the Jovaraxians in her studies, and she had always been fascinated by their mysterious and enigmatic culture. The Jovaraxians were said to have been a highly advanced civilization with a powerful legacy. They were rumored to have had incredible abilities and to have been able to harness the power of the elements in the universe itself. Sable had always wanted to learn more about the Jovaraxians, and now it seemed that she might finally have the opportunity. As they explored deeper into the pyramid, they encountered more challenges and dangers. They had to solve puzzles and riddles, and they had to use their skills and wits to overcome many obstacles. The first puzzle they came across was a room filled with strange symbols and inscriptions. Sable scanned the room with her scanner, analyzing the chemical composition and structure of the walls and the floor. She noticed that some of the symbols seemed to glow or pulsate, while others remained dim or dormant. "Looks like we've stumbled upon a puzzle," Sable said, studying the symbols and inscriptions. "I've seen something like this before. It's just a matter of figuring out the patterns and connections." Sable noticed that some of the symbols were connected by lines and arcs, and she deduced that they were represented by relationships and connections. She also noticed that some of the symbols were more prominent or dominant than others, and she suspected that they might represent key elements or concepts. She started to manipulate the symbols and inscriptions in various ways based on this understanding. After several minutes of trial and error, Sable finally had an epiphany. "I think I've got it," she said, a smile spreading across her face. "These symbols and inscriptions represent a mathematical equation. We have to rearrange and balance them to solve it." With Sirius's help, Sable successfully solved the puzzle. "We're making progress," Sable said, smiling down at him. The second challenge they encountered was a room filled with shimmering, razor-sharp blades that swung back and forth, slicing through the air. The blades seemed to be triggered by emotion or sound, and they were deadly to anyone who came too close. "Looks like we found ourselves a trap," Sable said, eyeing the blades warily. "We'll have to be careful and quiet if we want to get through this," she said, scratching her chin. After a moment, she activated her illumination earrings and set them flying ahead to scout the room. The earrings were equipped with advanced sensors and cameras, and they allowed Sable to see in low-light conditions and to detect any potential dangers ahead. The earrings returned with footage of the room, and Sable studied it closely. She noticed that there were gaps and openings between the blades, and that they seemed to follow a set pattern or rhythm. She also noticed that there were buttons or levers on the wall that might be used to control or deactivate the blades. Together, they hatched a plan. Sable would use her scanner to analyze the buttons or levers and to determine which ones were safe to press. She would also use her eye to record video notes and mark the safe spots or paths. After uploading them to the database, Sirius would follow her lead, and he would use his senses and instincts to detect any potential threats or traps on the way. Using their expert teamwork, they managed to navigate through the room without incident. "Well done, Sirius," Sable said, patting her companion on the head. "We make a great team." As Sable and Sirius ventured deeper into the heart of the pyramid, they encountered their toughest challenge yet, a temple guardian. The guardian was a massive, intimidating creature with fierce and relentless demeanor. It stood at the entrance to the inner sanctum, blocking their path. The moment the guardian noticed Sable and Sirius, it let out a deafening roar. It was a challenge, a warning, a declaration, and it seemed to be saying in an alien language, "You are not welcome here. You will not pass." Sable and Sirius stood their ground. They knew that they could not outrun the guardian or outfight it. They would have to outsmart it. Sable scanned the guardian with her scanner, analyzing its chemical composition and structure. She noticed that it was made of a metallic space-age alloy with a high melting point and low conductivity. She also noticed that it had various sensors and systems, including a pair of glowing eyes that seemed to be able to see through walls and detect heat signatures. Sable came up with a plan and shared it with Sirius. She would use her scanner to create a holographic projection of herself and Sirius. She would also use her earrings to create a distraction or diversion, and she would use her ring to track the Guardian's movements and predict its actions. Sable and Sirius put their plan into action, but the Guardian was not fooled. It was too smart and too advanced to be tricked by a simple holographic projection. It saw through the illusion, and it knew Sable and Sirius were just trying to trick it. It was not amused. Just when it seemed like all hope was lost, a voice boomed from the shadows. "Stand down, Guardian." It was Dr. Orion, Sable's cold and conniving nemesis. He emerged from the darkness wielding a powerful ancient weapon. "I will get to the heart of this temple and no one can stop me." Dr. Orion had been tracking Sable and Sirius, and he had followed them to the pyramid. He had his own agenda, and he was willing to do whatever it took to achieve it. Sable and Sirius were shocked and surprised by Dr. Orion's sudden appearance. "Dr. Orion," Sable said, trying to keep her cool, "what are you doing here? How did you find us?" "I have my ways," Dr. Orion said, with a sly and sinister smile. "I have been following your progress, Sable. I've been watching your every move. I know about your mission, and I know about your discoveries. And I will not allow you to ruin everything I have worked for." "What are you talking about, Dr. Orion?" Sable said, confused and concerned. "What do you want from us? What do you want from this place?" "I want what every scientist wants," Dr. Orion said, with a greedy and ambitious glint in his eye. "I want knowledge, power, and control. I want to unlock the secrets of the universe, and I want to use them to my own advantage. And I will not let anyone or anything stand in my way. Not you, not Sirius, and not even that Guardian." Dr. Orion pointed his ancient weapon at the Guardian and unleashed a beam of energy. The Guardian roared in pain and rage, and it staggered and fell. In one fell swoop, the towering Titan was defeated. "There," Dr. Orion said with a triumphant and arrogant tone. "That's how it's done. I'm the master of this domain, and I will not tolerate any disobedience or resistance. You will either join me or die." Sable and Sirius were shocked and horrified by Dr. Orion's actions and the power of the weapon he wielded. They knew they had to stop him. "Move aside, you unworthy pseudo-intellectual knobs. I'm going to make this discovery and be remembered through the galaxy as Dr. Orion, the greatest scientist who ever lived." Dr. Orion pushed Sable aside and approached the massive, intricately carved door that presumably led to the heart of the pyramid. The door is made with a shimmering metallic material that seemed to pulsate with energy. It was adorned with symbols and images that Sable had never seen before, and she couldn't help but wonder what secrets lay behind it. Dr. Orion reached out and placed his hand on the door, feeling a strange energy coursing through his body. He pushed against the door, but it did not budge. He tried again, and still nothing. Frustrated, he stepped back and examined the door more closely. Then he noticed that it was beginning to glow. Suddenly, an ancient alien voice spoke, seeming to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. "You are not pure of heart," the voice said. "Therefore, you cannot enter the pyramid." "This is ridiculous," Dr. Orion shouted in frustration. "I spent years studying this place, and I deserve to know what's inside." But the voice did not respond, and Dr. Orion was left standing in front of the locked door, fuming with anger and frustration. Suddenly, he felt a strange sensation wash over him, and before he knew it, he was involuntarily teleported away. Sable and Sirius exchanged a concerned look, wondering what just happened. "Where the heck did he just go?" Sable exclaimed. A moment later, the massive heavy door swept open effortlessly, beckoning Sable and Sirius to enter with a faint, warm hum. At last, they reached the heart of the pyramid with nothing standing in their way. The inside of the pyramid unveiled the most valuable and surprising discoveries of all. It was a chamber filled with advanced technology and knowledge that seemed to have been left behind by the ancient civilization. Sable and Sirius were amazed and overwhelmed by the sight, and that they knew that they had stumbled upon something truly extraordinary. Sable immediately began to study and analyze the technology. She recorded video notes and took pictures, storing all the new data in her digital database. After a few hours of intense study and analysis, Sable and Sirius had gathered a wealth of data and insights. They had learned about the history, culture, and achievements of the ancient civilization, and they had uncovered many of its secrets. They had also learned about the fate of the civilization, and they had discovered clues that might help prevent the same fate from happening again. Instead of hoarding this data for themselves, they shared it with all the scientists on the planet. She knew that this discovery would have significant implications on the field of study and that it would change the way people thought about the universe. Sable and her team had uncovered the true downfall of this once great society. They found evidence of widespread corruption and exploitation of the planet's resources and people, as well as a complete disregard for the rights and individual freedoms of the planet's inhabitants. It seemed that a small group of powerful individuals had prioritized their own wealth and power above the rights of others, and as a result, the entire society had collapsed. At one point, the society's people reached a breaking point and fought back against their oppressive regime that controlled them, causing a civil war that left nothing but destruction. Through their research, Sable and her team had learned a valuable lesson about the dangers of greed. They realized that the ancient civilization had been destroyed by its own members, who had been too blinded by their own desire to see the harm they were causing to others. They also realized that they had the responsibility to work towards a more free and just society in which individuals were able to pursue their own interests without infringing on the rights of others. Sable and Sirius basked in the warm glow of their success and walked through the alien landscape. The air was filled with the spicy aroma of strange herbs and the sound of bubbling streams. The sun shone down on them, heating their skin. They were happy to be alive and well, and that they had experienced something truly extraordinary. The memory of the ancient civilization and all it had to offer filled them with a sense of pride and accomplishment. As they walked, Sable and Sirius couldn't help but feel excited about the future. They were proud of themselves and of each other, and they knew that they had a bright future ahead of them, full of possibilities and challenges. They couldn't wait to see what adventures awaited them, and they knew that they were ready to take on whatever came their way. All right, cupcakes, that is it. That is the end of Sable and the Ancient Civilization. If you enjoyed this story, please do a couple things for me. Hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, and let me know if you liked this story down in the comments. Did you enjoy the character of Sable? Did you think her job was interesting? Do you want to hear more stories about her and her adventures with her furry little friend? What was the most surprising part of the story to you? I really want to hear your thoughts down below. This is all for you, so I want to make sure you're having a great time and you're feeling super cozy and comfy as you're listening to these stories too. But that is it. We will see you cupcakes next time for Storytime with Stacy's. Bye.